Okay, we're working on the yoke for Galena from Knitted Tanks and Tunics, and we are now going to do row 13 of the chart, which is probably the most difficult row of the chart. There's several tricky stitches on it, so here we go. So we're going to start by knitting 3, and then we want to make a right leaning increase. So we're going to do that by picking up the strand between the stitches from the back, knitting into the front of it. So you can use your finger here to kind of slide this stitch around the needle and create a little bit of slack there that we can make our stitch with. So there's our right leaning increase. And then immediately after that we have a left cross where we have a stitch that crosses in front of another one. So to do the left cross, we're going to reach from behind, knit the second stitch on the left hand needle from the back, and then we're going to, without dropping that stitch off the needle, knit the first stitch on the left hand needle from the front. Keep those stitches near the tips of the needle so that you can because they're rather tight because of the crossed stitch. And then once you drop that off the needle, you can see that you have the crossed stitches where one of them crosses in a leftward direction over the other one. So there's our left twist. Now we'll do a yarn over, SSK. Now remember, here's our yarn over, sort of waiting to be completed at the same time as we do the SSK. Now sometimes this SSK can be tricky if the second stitch gets tight, so I'm just loosening the stitches a bit here, and now I'm going to finish the SSK. So there we have the yarn over and the SSK. We'll do a yarn over, and now we're going to decrease here so that we have 5 stitches that will be decreased into 1. So the way we do this is we alternate crossing stitches from each side over this center stitch here. And to do that, we first slip these 3 stitches to the right hand needle, cross the second stitch over the left. Now we want to cross one of these stitches on this side over. So we've passed our center stitch back to the left hand needle, and then we'll pass the next stitch over that. Now we're going to repeat it. Here's the first slipped stitch. Pass that over that center stitch. And then I've put the center stitch back on the left hand needle one more time. And we pass that adjacent stitch over it. And now we have 5 stitches decreased into 1. And so now this stitch is actually going to be purled. So to do that, you can either bring this yarn all the way around. Remember that we still have a yarn over that's waiting to be completed, and purl it. Or the other thing you can do is you can actually pass the yarn over the needle from back to the front to make the purl. Now this is how you might have made accidental yarn overs when you're learning to knit, when you go from knitting to purling and bring the yarn over the needle rather than under it. But in this case we want to do that because now we have a yarn over, and we have a second yarn over here. So we're going to bring the yarn back over the needle again and work our next stitch, which is a knit 2 together. And then we'll see how we did after that. So here we have a yarn over on each side of the stitch that is the one remaining from the 5. Okay, so knit 2 together. Now we have a yarn over, and then we have a right twist. To do that, we knit the second stitch on the needle from the front. So we knit that from the front, We've also completed our yarn over here. Now we have not dropped that stitch off the needle yet because we need to knit the first stitch on the needle, and then we can drop both of those stitches off there, and we've done the right twist. Next to the right twist we have an M1 left leaning. So to do that, we take our needle tip and from the front lift the strand between the stitches, knit this stitch in the back. Come on. Sometimes it takes a little manipulating to get these stitches on the needle. I almost have it. Okay, there we go. So we have this strand that we've picked up, put on the left needle tip, knit it from the back, and now we have a left leaning increase. And then we knit the last 3 stitches. Woo! Well, I promise you that once this yoke is finished, the rest of the Galena sweater goes pretty easily. So let's just count our stitches and make sure we have them all. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 19. Okay, now I'm just going to show you, we have these funny yarn overs here that go to the purl stitch here in the center. So what I'm going to do is show you how to work those on the following row. So the next row we want to knit 5. Remember, we're working from the wrong side, so what shows up as a purl stitch on the right side is knit from the wrong side. So knit 5, then we're going to purl 9, so 1. See how the yarn over here is oriented in the correct direction for the stitch. So we knit that one, knit. Now these are the 2 yarn overs that border that center decrease. So we knit this one, purl that one, we purl this stitch, and this one you'll notice is oriented, it's going the opposite way over the needle. Instead of going from front right to back left, it's going from front left to back right. So to have the stitch on this row look right, what we want to do is we actually want to purl it in this direction, and then we finish purling the rest of the stitches. There, knit the last 5. And then we'll take a look at our work from the right side. From the right side, you can see we have all of our yarn overs in the right place. Voila.